How powerful is this ring? It allowed the Lord of the Rings trilogy to sweep almost all Oscars and top the list of world fantasy movies for 20 years. No one dared to challenge him. The original author Tolkien worked hard for 12 years, revised it repeatedly for 4 years, and the later screenwriter spent another 4 years to create a shining pearl in the history of fantasy movies. It is also known as one of the 4 great masterpieces in the West. There are very few movies that can make the special effects of the movie not exaggerated, but shocking, and perfectly match the plot. The Lord of the Rings did it as early as 20 years ago, and it won nearly $3 billion box office worldwide in the year of its release. Next, the editor will continue to take you to experience this charming Middle-earth world in person. The story of the Lord of the Rings can be traced back to the first era of Middle-earth when the Dark Lord Morgoth invaded Middle-earth and was defeated by the Coalition. Sauron, the #1 general under Morgoth, hid for more than 1,000 years after his escape. In the Second Age, he disguised himself as a harmless handsome guy, calling himself a gifted master. He was very popular among the elves with his unparalleled forging skills. However, this guy had long been determined to conquer Middle-earth, but he did not have the strength to unify the world, so he began to plot. On this day, he finally successfully deceived the elves on the grounds of benefiting Middle-earth, and according to his design blueprint, they jointly created 19 magic rings with different special powers. Among them, the Ring of Water, the Ring of Fire, and the Ring of Instruments were made by the elves according to their own understanding, and the remaining 16 rings were given to the 7 dwarf kings and the 9 emperors. While these big guys were gloating over the rings they had obtained, the cunning Sauron had secretly built a fighter plane in the ring at Mount Doom, and injected most of his power into it, and named it the Supreme Ring, intending to use this fighter plane to command the other 19 wingmen, so as to control the will of the leaders of various tribes and realize his ambition to rule the world effortlessly. But he forgot that there were 3 rings independently made by the elves. The elves were the first to notice that something was wrong, so they quickly took off the 3 rings, but the 9 emperors of mankind were magnified by the rings for their desire for power, and they were the first to fall under Sauron's pomegranate skirt and became his 9 realm leaders. The dwarves were born with a single-minded and extremely stubborn character, so they did not succumb to Sauron's tyranny, but the ring also magnified their infinite greed, so the dwarves almost contracted all the gold veins under the Middle-earth continent, and were immersed in the light of treasure day and night and could not extricate themselves. This is how the dwarf spirit lineage reaped what it sowed, and eventually fell into complete decline. When the tribes finally found out that the young man was the devil Sauron, they rose up and formed an anti-demon coalition to fight Sauron under the Doomsday Volcano. Although the orc army was mighty, it had no tactical formation. On the other hand, the Middle-earth coalition was defeated by the excellent marching formation of the elf king Aelin. But just when the coalition was ready to pursue the victory, the devil Sauron came to the battlefield in person. Relying on the powerful power of the Supreme Ring on his hand, the coalition was wiped out in a blink of an eye. The invincible battle formation that was just proud of was simply vulnerable in front of the devil. The human king stepped forward, but was killed instantly by a hammer. Prince Isildur hurried over to check, but how could the devil Sauron miss this opportunity to kill them all and eradicate them? In a hurry, Isildur swung the broken sword of the king at random, and Sauron's 4 fingers were easily cut off by the broken holy sword. The Supreme Lord of the Rings fell to the ground. Sauron's body lost the support of the power of the ring and collapsed instantly. The aftermath of the explosion overturned all the surrounding armies. However, Sauron's soul will never die, and he will come back sooner or later. The prince picked up the ring and was shocked by its powerful power. The flashing runes of the Supreme Lord of the Rings seemed to be calling for its master. After the war, King Aelin took him to Mount Doom to destroy the ring. This time, under the temptation of the ring, he did not hesitate at all, and regretted it temporarily, and resolutely took the ring back as a national treasure. No matter how the Elf King shouted, the man left Mount Doom without looking back, but he did not know that he was ambushed by orcs on the way back home. When he was in a life-and-death crisis, the man put on the ring and jumped into the river with the help of invisibility. However, the next second after entering the water, the ring chose to leave Ithilder, waiting for the day to return to its master. The man was forced to reveal his true form, and was instantly pierced through the heart by arrows from the orcs, killing him instantly. The one ring sank to the bottom of the river, and its existence was gradually forgotten by the world in recent years. Until this day, 2 hobbits appeared on the river fishing, and the story of the Lord of the Rings officially began from here.